This delightful mess on my floor is my vacuum boom arm. It's from a blog post I wrote years ago. It's one of my first posts, actually, I think. And what it is a very simple frame made out of scrap half-inch plywood. Nothing to it there. It's got 4 eye bolts, little ones, put through it. Actually, a 5th one here. This is for miscellaneous things that aren't going to be permanently attached to it. And it's got this hose that's permanently attached. And here, it's rigidly attached. And up here and here, you've got hinges. I actually disconnected this hinge because I had to go buy more. So I pulled this one off and I cut the twist tie. So I got to just put a plastic tie on again. But between the fact that the boom arm is attached to the wall with these butt hinges, it swings and these hinges flex and give the hose a little bit of movement down at the end. It's been working absolutely fantastic. And I've got these 2 lengths of rigid hose that I usually, or have since I got it, just kept connected to the boom arm. And that used to fit up here, right here on the wall when my bench was there, and it was behind the bench, and it made it very easy to use power tool on the bench. But my bench is over there now, and I'm still in the middle of shop renovations, and I haven't really had the opportunity or the need to use it. So for the last year or so, it's been curled up in a ball back there behind my table saw. But what I've found is I'm using my track saw more and more, and I'm constantly getting the hose in the way. This nice green Festool hose, which I use quite often, even on non-Festool tools. This fitting is fairly universal and will fit in most tools. I had to modify a couple from DeWalt, but it does fit, and the Festool vac is great. So I've been wanting to use this hose kind of on a boom, keep it out of the way. But as much as I don't mind investing in some Festool products, others I can't wrap my head around, such as their boom. It's a couple $100, and it's a length of pipe that attaches to the back. I can't rationalize buying that. You know, some of the stuff makes perfect sense, and I've got a wall of Festool over here, so I'm not trying to say Festool's a waste, but some of the items, such as that boom, I think are a waste. Anyway, so that was kind of rumbling in the back of my mind. Then the other thing was that when I'm using my saw, I typically stack it up here. So see, there's my saw, and I happen to have a sander underneath it. But there's typically a couple systainers sitting on the vacuum. And I typically take this thing, nice smooth bottom, and I would drop it right on top of the systainer as I'm using it to keep it off the bench and out of the way. And I was always nervous that it was going to just slide off the edge. So that's when I started, and I made this tray, which I've so subtly hidden from you, the viewer, until now. And what the tray, you know, it's got this nice little lip. The lip's about a ½ inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch above. It can't slide off. And lift it up. See that little lip? It fits over. It fits very snugly. In fact, I made it a little too snug. I had to shim this side out with a whole bunch of blue tape. You can see a little gap there. But, you know, who cares? It's shop furniture. And now that works great, so I can drop my saw down and not have to worry about the saw coming off. I mean, it's hard to get it off. That the vacuum is nice and stable with all the systainers locked in. But the next thing I thought was, now that I've got this, I've still got the issue with the hose. So that's when I started making this thing. And I'll show you the bottom of it. That's a simple spacer on the bottom and a little cleat. And the way this works is it fits right over. This vertical piece comes down with the spacer there. Then we've got this piece that is a spacer, but it also hooks the end to help keep it stable side to side. And this inside piece that drops inside the tray, I made it full width to, again, lock it side to side. At first it was only the 3-inch width, and I found that the top was tipping over a little bit. So now I can shake that, and it doesn't really want to move. Now on here I've made another smaller version of the boom, again with 1/2-inch plywood. I happen to have some scrap bolted birch now, so it's a little bit fancier, but Still just 1/2-inch plywood. I've done the same thing with these eye bolts. Here, because it's a smaller version of the boom, I only have 3 points of attachment, not 4. And I've got my Festool hose hooked up to it. And now this will swing. It's got some stretch and some play to it. It's working great. The one thing I need to do is come up with a way to temporarily attach the hose so that it can be removed later in a method that's slightly less wasteful than clipping these little plastic ties. But that said, the ties are cheap, and for right now, it doesn't take long to clip them. And I don't need to take the hose off that much. So it's only every couple weeks that I'm probably going to have to even cut it. So I may not even come up with a temporary solution in the long run. But that's my plan, is that I'm going to consider it functionally done, but I'm going to kind of try to come up with a way to temporarily install and remove these attachment points. That's it. So now I can take the hose, clip it back to the vacuum, and it'll keep the vacuum out of the way. The one thing I will continue to do is, you can see on my hose, where are they? Here's one. I have these Velcro ties, and what I use with them is I use that to attach the power cord to, so I only have essentially one cord coming through. And what I'll probably do is put something on the boom arm that holds the power cord too, but at this point, with the power cord and the vacuum hose connected together, it's not a big deal. So I'm not sure if I'm going to call it the bastard boom arm or the boom arm version 2, but that is my new, that's my new boom arm. Fits on top of a systainer. The two pieces come apart, so if I want just the tray, I can have just the tray. And it was, very cheap. I had to go out and buy the hinges and the springs, so I think that cost me about $5. And I bought some smaller, cheaper springs at first, and I wasn't at all pleased with them. So that's why I took the spring off the original boom arm. I went down to the hardware store and I matched it. And I'm very fond of those springs. They've worked out fantastic on the original boom arm. And I don't think I mentioned this, but the attachment here is just a simple butt hinge. Nothing fancy. Nothing more than this is needed. So that's the bastard boom arm point 2. Let's call it that. We'll come up with a nice, long, convoluted name. And I'll let you guys know how it works out. But so far, it's fantastic.